Welcome to the Cloud Accounting Podcast, a show for accountants using technology to make their jobs more strategic and impactful. I'm Blake Oliver.
And I'm David Leary.
So David, how's Sydney?
It's early, 4:30 in the morning, getting up. That's dedication to this podcast so we could record this morning for me.
Wow, that is impressive. I imagine you still have jet lag. When did you get there?
This is where it gets very confusing to me. So I got here Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Sydney time. But I left my house 24 hours before that, Tucson time. So it was like 24 hours of travel. Wasn't foggy yesterday. The day before I was pretty foggy.
So what are you doing in Sydney?
So came all the way here for QuickBooks Connect, which is next Thursday. But this weekend, actually this morning, we are doing the hackathon.
Oh, what's that?
So what we'll do is we'll have developers in the Sydney region. We'll come in. We're actually hosting it at the Intuit office, which is really cool. So they'll come in and we'll have about 100 to 120 engineers, product managers, developers, entrepreneurs. We'll come together. Some will have teams already. Some will form teams. They'll come together and they'll code. So not hack in that bad sense of the word. I know like a lot of accountants, there's that word hack, right? But really hackathon really is the spirit of building things, hacking something together in a short amount of time. So we'll have about 25 hours to build a solution for small business. And we bring in some partners. So like we have QuickBooks and then PayPal, Google, and Telstra. Telstra is, from what I can tell, is like the AT&T or Comcast or T-Mobile all put together type company here. And so there's going to be hardware for them to build on. And all we ask is they build a solution. Then at the end of the day on Sunday, all the teams pitch their ideas and the winner takes home $5,000. And it's just a good way for developers to get familiar with these APIs. But it's really a good way for us to just get developers thinking about small businesses, right? I think in most cases, most hackathons, it's all about the coolest technology or the coolest this, most unique this. And this is really about like, hey, small businesses exist and they have zillions of problems. Can you try to solve them?
That's great. Well, it's appropriate that you're in Australia because my first story today comes out of Australia. Microsoft, the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and KPMG Australia have announced partnering to deliver a new small and medium-sized enterprise-focused joint venture called WISE. That's WISE spelled with two I's. It's an interesting story. This article appeared in ZDNet, and there's been a bunch of follow-up on Digital First, and I'll post both of those links in the show notes. Basically, WISE is accounting software, and it appears that it's going to be somewhat like an ERP, maybe a lightweight ERP that competes with NetSuite. It's fascinating to me that KPMG is getting into the business of creating software. It's going to launch, or at least according to the article, it's going to launch in July 2018. Although you went to the website for that domain, right, David? And there's nothing there yet.
Yeah, I kind of Googled around. There's definitely an accountant in Australia that has WISE as their accounting firm name. And there's another website that has WISE with two eyes in it like that. But from what I could tell, for a product that's launching, what did it say in the article? July of 2018. July. So that's like in 40 days to not have a website up is a little interesting to me.
It's a bit surprising. We'll see. A lot of these announcements come out of the Big Four, and of course, nothing ever happens. I've been hearing similar types of announcements about blockchain for a long time, and nothing ever happens. So we'll see if this software ever actually gets off the ground. It should be interesting if it does. It appears that it is they're not building it from scratch. It is based on Microsoft's software. I think it is based on Microsoft Financials for Office 365. It's some sort of adaptation of that. So they're not starting from scratch.
Yeah, it looks like they got the idea. They acquired a systems implementer, hands-on systems. And it looks like going to their website, they did a lot of logistic stuff, inventory, fleet tracking. So they probably have integrated with lots of accounting systems. So they've probably built up some sort of expertise. And so the conversations probably went from there. I think this is going to have to go in one of those like, hey, let's put this in the to watch bucket, right? Mm-hmm. And see, let's revisit this in July and see what exists. As the language is very dreamy. It's like this is in quotes as their description, end-to-end integrated cloud-based business management solution. Like the only thing they're missing is blockchain. Like they catch all the other key words. So.
Yep. And I found it is built on Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, which is itself a new SaaS platform that has an interface similar to the Office 365 suite. So this is actually not new software. It's an adapted version of Dynamics. So take that, for what it is.
So it sounds like maybe it's Microsoft entering the Australian market with Dynamics.
Yeah. And I'm skeptical about KPMG's involvement because I've never seen a services company that successfully built software and managed to do both a good service and a good software. It's kind of, software as a service or a service as a service. I've never seen anyone figure out how to do it the other way around or combine the two. And it makes me question KPMG's consulting business. Are they going to now, obviously they're now going to be selling this WISE ERP system and selling against other ERPs. And how does that impact their objectivity and independence if they are financially benefiting from software that they own that they're selling? I would be skeptical as a client of KPMG if they were recommending this software to me.
Yeah, I think those lines are definitely gray, and I think it's a big concern at big firms, right? But I think that's even at smaller independent bookkeepers, right? They might not own a stake in one of these companies, but once they're kind of loyal to something, they're going to recommend the one that benefits them personally.
Yeah, that's true. When I had my own firm, I was a Xero partner, but we were very upfront about the fact that we only recommended or we only used Xero, and that was simply for the ability for us to scale as a small firm. Yep. We couldn't be experts in more than one accounting software. So I think that if KPMG is going to do this, they have to be very upfront about their stake in it with their customers. But knowing the ethics issues that the Big Four have had in the past, I'm not that confident that they will be completely transparent.
Do you think that the Big Four might align technology-wise where, hey, if you want to be a Microsoft person, you kind of need to go with KPMG. And if you want to be on NetSuite, you may want to think about going with somebody else, right? And they're going to kind of get in bed and align with a system going forward?
Well, the thing is, they're so big. I don't see how they can possibly do that, right? When I had my own small firm, I could specialize in one piece of software because I could say, well, if this isn't the right fit for you, here's another firm that does the other software. But with the Big Four, there's only 4 of them. It would be very difficult to do that, and I doubt they'd want to give up the revenue. So I think this is going to create some conflicts.
Interesting. I think we'll have to. Me being here this week, I'll see if I hear anything. But
yeah,
we'll see if I hear any rumblings.
I think the big potential is for the bank to be involved because that's always been one of the big hassles with accounting software is getting those bank feeds to work properly. Or, it would be really cool if a lot of the bill pay features were completely integrated with the bank. So that could be a winner. But then again, as the developer of the software, you're going up against a very slow moving organization with pretty much any bank. So we'll see how quickly the advanced features actually get built into the platform. So David, what's new on your side of the pond?
So yesterday, I think this was yesterday or 2 days ago, or maybe it's in the future because I'm here. It's Saturday, not Friday. So I'm a little confused when this took place. But PayPal is making their largest acquisition. They're buying another payments company called iZettle, IZETTLE, for $2.2 billion in cash.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and apparently the article was talking about they've been speaking for years. So it wasn't like this is like they woke up one day and decided to do this. They've been keeping an eye on iZettle for years. And I think the impact for us, in our space, is it's really iZettle has a lot of established. They're similar to a Square product, right? So point of sale, they have swipe little terminals, right? But they really have it in a lot of markets where somebody like PayPal isn't. So they're in the Brazils, Mexico, Spain, Sweden, the Netherlands, Italy. So all these other countries that are really, they're not even emerging markets. They're growing markets. But, as Square focused on the States or North America, they just haven't entered those markets, right? Or PayPal hasn't entered those markets. So it's almost setting up this new battleground, like this next round of countries, right? And as payments move into these countries, That means a lot of these small businesses in these other countries are now going to be on cloud. They're now doing electronic payments or electronic point of sale. And the natural fit is, what else are they going to need to do? Well, cloud accounting is probably next.
Have you run into a lot of, or really any businesses in the US using PayPal for their point of sale? I really don't see it.
Very rare, one or two. It's very rare. And then every time I go to any place, I always look over the counter and check out the point of sales, check what they're using for payments. Yes, I think it's very rare for me to run into somebody using PayPal, Shopify's point of sale. You don't really just see them very often.
I see Square all the time in LA.
Yes.
And actually, I stand corrected. So I do see PayPal more than I thought. It's just not called PayPal. They own Braintree and Venmo. Everybody in our office, it's a very young office here at Flowcast, uses Venmo to send each other money. So
yeah, so for non-point of sale, PayPal has a huge footprint. You probably donate money on PayPal. You pay for things with PayPal. A lot of people are using PayPal for stuff they do in their browser or on their phone. Mm-hmm. But physically paying, like you go to a food truck, you hardly ever see PayPal there. PayPal has a little swiper, like a Square, a little triangle swiper, but there's it's been a struggle, that jump.
You know what? I remember now. The last time I saw PayPal at a point of sale was at Home Depot. You can actually log into your PayPal account at the register at Home Depot and pay that way. I've never seen anyone do it. I've never done it myself, but it's always there whenever I go.
I think I actually tried to do it once because I did not have my wallet, and I was at Home Depot once, and I think I've done it. So you can pay, but it wasn't pay. It was almost like PayPal integrated with that point of sale system, or that point of sale system integrated with PayPal. It's not truly like a PayPal point of sale, right? And so I think this iZettle thing is going to give PayPal a true point of sale system, right? They're at the front line of that, and which will be interesting. It's just going to open all these new markets, right? And so if you're a cloud accountant, and if you now can take clients in Finland because they're going to be using cloud point of sales, and then that point of sale and payments has to tie to a cloud accounting system eventually. So it's going to really open it up for everybody, the whole entire market.
Interesting. What else do we got?
The only other thing I'd add to this is I think I saw last week, so merchant service, right, and point of sale, as I think I saw a week ago, a note that Amazon apparently is really wanting to get into this space with Amazon payments. And so I think they want to come in and they're going to offer small businesses only a 1% fee.
Wow, that's really low.
There's the existing merchant account service, and everybody's familiar with that. But if you start thinking about like the Amazons or Google or Apple, because Apple just announced they have a credit card they're going to make, right? Right now, they have to charge a percentage of the transaction because somebody has to pay for this to exist. But they can't go lower on the price, really. But if you could offset the price because of search, for example, you have an OK Google, or you have an Alexa, or you have a Siri, and I say, Siri, where's the nearest Chinese food restaurant? And so now you can tie search all the way down to the payment. You can actually charge the merchant less fees because you're going to make money on those search terms.
Oh,
right.
Got
So
it.
you could see this getting disrupted by Google, Amazon, and Apple. Really, the merchant service long term.
Well, and to give some perspective to this for those who aren't familiar with merchant service rates, typically, if you're a small business, you're paying 2 to 3%, sometimes more than 3% on every single credit card charge. And Square, in particular, was very innovative in standardizing it at 2.75% for every single charge. And they made it much less complex than it had been. It used to be that with your merchant provider, you had no idea how much you were paying because there were all sorts of different tiers. It was very complex, and people got ripped off a lot. So between 2 and 3% has been sort of the standard in the last, 5 years, maybe 10 years even. And if it goes down below 2%, that's great for small businesses, but it's going to be tough for Square to compete. It'll be tough if Amazon decides to undercut them that way. I mean, maybe we see eventually credit card processing drive towards 0% as these processors find other ways to make money.
Yeah, because I think ultimately most small businesses, none of them love paying merchant fees. Right? It's a cost to do business. They just have to. They don't have a choice. They're kind of held hostage a little bit, right? And so this.
Well, you can not take credit cards, but you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you do that.
Yeah, and so the second somebody comes along and says, "Hey, we're only going to charge 1% or we're going to charge 0%. That small business owner is going to hang us, just like a lot of small business owners will be like, hey, there's a discount if you pay cash. They're going to hang a sign up in the store that says, hey, there's a discount if you pay with Google or you pay with Apple or you pay with Amazon because they're charging me less. I'm going to pass that on, right, to encourage. So you could see a quick adoption curve switch. But this merchant service and the payments game, it's definitely in flux.
This is interesting to me because one of the arguments about, and I sorry to do this for a second episode in a row, but I have to bring up blockchain.
Every week.
One of the arguments about cryptocurrency replacing cash is merchant fees and transaction fees on sending money around, and especially consumer payments. And if credit card payments end up getting absorbed into, say, larger companies and they're subsidizing these fees and for whatever reason, then there really won't be a need for or an incentive for small businesses to adopt cryptocurrency, to take it, because one of the arguments is, well, you don't have to pay those merchant fees if you do it. So I think that could really undercut the whole idea of, I'm skeptical of it anyway, of consumers actually using cryptocurrency in regular day-to-day life. The cheaper merchant fees get, the less likely that is to happen.
No, I fully agree. And it's because we have a working currency already. I can see maybe in some countries where maybe there isn't a very stable or good working currency, right, that being bypassed. But I think in established places, if there's a good working currency, free, yes, is attractive, but free with customers that have to pay it, right? And I think a small business owner knows, oh, all those people have iPhones, they can pay me and I don't have to charge them a fee. I don't have to pay 2.5%. Okay, I'm going to let people with iPhones pay me using their Apple account.
Well, David, that's all the time we've got for today. I'm looking forward to chatting with you next Friday. Will you be back in the States or will you still be in Australia?
Next Friday, believe it or not, I will be in between flights at the LAX airport. So if you'd like to meet me over there, we could do this live in person together.
As much as I love the airport in Los Angeles, I think I might have to pass.
All right. It's your loss. It's definitely your loss on this one.
Just tell Elon Musk that he needs to build a tunnel, get his boring company going and build that tunnel that he's promised from the west side to LAX. And then maybe I'll come visit.
And do you have any big plans this week?
This weekend or this week? At Flowcast, we're doing a webinar on Excel tips and tricks for accountants. I will put that link in the show notes as well. If you're interested in brushing up on your Excel skills, we've got a great guy, Jim Klein. He calls himself the Excel CEO, and that's on Tuesday and Thursday at, I think it's 11 a.m. Pacific, and you can get 2 CPE credits for attending those webinars.
For Excel. Nice. It's the product everybody still loves to love. Like it's just forever.
It's been around for, 20, 30 years now, and it's better than ever. Actually, we'll talk about this next episode, but they're adding JavaScript into Excel. So now you can do even more cool things with it.
Perfect. Hey, I think it's time to go. I need to go rehearse and get ready to kick off the hackathon in a couple hours. I'm sure people are outside queuing up as we speak.
Have fun.
Awesome.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
All right.